Hi, I'm Kate Lockridge.
And I'm Chloe Chin.
And welcome to the Marine Lab. We're going to run you through a step-by-step procedure of what your daily maintenance on your tank will look like. So the first thing that we're going to do is take note of the feeding log. This is where you're going to take recordings of your activities such as feeding, water changes, everything like that, as well as water parameters. And then once we note where the book is, we're going to go and wash our hands. So when we wash our hands, we want to make sure that we actually get all the way up to our wrists or however deep that our hands are going to be in the tank that day, whether you're cleaning or feeding. We do this to protect the animals as well as ourselves. So this will be the first and last thing that we do every day when we come in. So as you see, we're over here with our example tank. So the first thing that we're going to do today is take the temperature. And all of these tanks are going to find thermometers, and a lot of the times they're kind of floating around the top. But when you find the thermometer, go ahead and pull it out so you can take the measurement, and then remember to record it in the feeding log. After we take the temperature, we're going to take salinity, and there's a few ways we can do that. We can use a hydrometer, which is this fancy schmancy little contraption here. And what we do is we fill it up to the top with water, and this is specifically for saltwater tanks. So we fill it up with water, and when you check it, there's a little needle in there that moves up and down, and it points to the specific gravity or, salinity of the tank. And if the needle is stuck in the hydrometer, you can kind of give it a little shake or put some more water in there and shake it around, and that should loosen it up. Easy fix. Now, on days where your tank is particularly dirty or on routine maintenance days, you can come in and clean it. And so we have a pile and bin of cleaning supplies over under these tanks, and you can pick any of them for your own use and just go through and scrub the walls. Just make sure to be aware of where your animals are in relation to your hand, especially if you're working with the sharks or any of the more aggressive species. And when you're finished with any material, go ahead and put them in these buckets over here. The bleach bucket in particular is the one that we're going to put our stuff in. We don't put anything into the other buckets. That is a job for the coordinators, and they are very kind to do that for us. So when we're over at our tanks, we're going to check a couple of things. So the first thing we're going to check is our filters, and we're going to see how dirty the filter bags are. If they are very dirty, we're going to rinse them out with treated water, and if you have tap water. Sorry, you can treat them with tap water. And you're also going to check all of your cords and make sure that there's nothing that could leak water onto the floor. Check your thermometers, your heaters, all of your electrical equipment. And while you're at it, wipe off some of the salt creep if you have a saltwater aquarium. When all of that is said and done, we can go ahead and get ready to feed the fish. So Chloe is going to show you where the fish food is. We have, for our bigger species, food on this back counter. And depending on the species that you have, you'll either be feeding them flakes, pellets, or frozen food. And when we feed, we want to make sure not to overfeed. When we do this, we want to give a little bit to the fish at a time. And if they eat it all up, you can give them a little bit more. But if you have excess food in the tank, make sure to scoop it out so we don't have nutrient buildups. Once we're done feeding, we can go ahead and top off the tank with water. As you can see, our tank here is slightly low. And this is a saltwater tank, so we would follow the instructions for filling up a saltwater tank. And we want to make sure to do that after we feed and not before, so that we don't stir up any kind of detritus or other nutrient matter in the tank. When we top off a saltwater tank or a freshwater tank, we're going to add fresh water. This is different from doing complete water changes. This is just topping off. After you're finished with all of your daily maintenance, we're going to log it on this board, which is located on the door to the Marine Lab. This is so all of our coordinators can tell when and who has been in to feed the animals, and it helps make sure that everyone is cared for. And this should be done in addition to filling out the feeding log. So our feeding log is important for IACUC purposes. This lets our animal overseers know that we are indeed taking care of the animals. And when we go to the feeding log, we're going to find our tank, which is numbered, and we're going to fill out the parameters when you run tests, so things like salinity, temperature, pH, alkalinity, nitrate, nitrite, and we're going to check off if we fed them, if we topped off the water, if we did a filter change, anything like that. And then there's a section for behavioral notes. So that could be anything from illness to odd behavior to spawning to, a whole range of things.